Welcome to the debate. For years, India has been a global powerhouse for deep tech innovation. We've had the talent, the academic brilliance, the research papers, but we have consistently hit a wall on scale. The innovations get stuck in the lab because scaling deep tech, whether it's quantum computing, advanced AI, or robotics, requires massive, specialized, high-cost infrastructure and, critically, patient capital that the domestic ecosystem simply hasn't delivered. This strategic gap has now framed one of the most significant news stories in the sector: the $2 billion letter of intent issued by Norway-based DSA Holding AS to Innogress Ventures.
And this is, without a doubt, a massive signal of international confidence. It's the kind of headline number that really grabs the attention of global markets.
Our central question is whether this significant foreign private investment, specifically because it targets infrastructure and strategically aligns with green tech, is the essential catalytic fuel needed to accelerate India's deep tech ambitions.
I believe that anchoring mission-critical domains like quantum and AI on foreign capital introduces unacceptable geopolitical vulnerabilities, risking long-term strategic dependence rather than building true self-reliance Atman and Barbharat.
And I'm going to argue that this global capital is the immediate, targeted, and decisive answer to the precise financial and infrastructural gaps currently stalling our indigenous innovation. The clock is ticking in the global race for quantum supremacy, and this is the mechanism for rapid scale that we needed yesterday.
And I believe that speed, when it's bought with dependency, is a short-term gain for a long-term strategic risk.
Let's get straight to the problem this LOI solves. Innogress's founder was clear about it. There are limited, local, deep tech finance opportunities. India's brilliant startup ecosystem hits a ceiling when the required investment shifts from software to, specialized hardware and facilities. This $2 billion LOI, one of the biggest private investment intentions in the sector, targets that gap directly. It funds the complete, full-stack physical infrastructure that indigenous startups, like those developing quantum sensing or AI navigation solutions, could never afford to build alone.
Okay, I see the immediate value in the sheer volume, but my core concern isn't the amount, it's the nature of the asset and the source of the capital. We are talking about quantum computing, which is inherently a dual-use technology with profound military and economic implications. India already lags in domestic quantum hardware manufacturing, relying heavily on imported components. Injecting massive foreign private capital to create the physical facilities, the very locus of our next-generation computing, risks embedding foreign dependence right at the core.
But that infrastructure is the foundational component needed to even begin addressing the hardware lag. We are talking about the Greater Noida Quantum Computing Tech Park, or GKQCTP, and the Indraprastha Quantum Data Center. These are critical shared facilities, quantum foundries, common cooling systems, nano and microfabrication facilities. This investment absorbs that staggering high capital expenditure, the CapEx. This frees up Indian startups to use these cutting-edge tools and focus purely on creating intellectual property and achieving commercialization. This isn't dependency, it's a strategically accelerated path to capability.
That sounds great on paper, but let's look closer at the commitment itself. Quantum hardware R&D requires, and this is the key phrase, long-term patient capital. I am concerned that we are relying on a private letter of intent, a non-binding expression of interest, to anchor national strategic assets. The Indian government has stable, predictable capital in play. The National Quantum Mission has a $720 million budget, plus a new $2.4 billion fund of funds for R&D. So why are we chasing a volatile private LOI from a Norwegian holding firm when we have secure public funds dedicated to this exact purpose?
I'm just not convinced by that line of reasoning, because the problem is urgency and deployment speed. We cannot wait for the NQM funds to slowly filter down to infrastructure projects that cost hundreds of millions. Domestic VC funding for later-stage deep tech, the crucial Series A and C, has been the persistent drag. Innogress explicitly said they needed overseas investments to achieve scale. This LOI is immediate. Think of the difference. The NQM funding is a structured, long-term government mortgage. It's secure, yes, but it's slow. This LOI is a massive, immediate line of credit from a global bank that signals confidence and enables projects like the GKQCTP to move from a blueprint on a shelf to concrete reality right now.
I agree that scale is necessary, but I would frame the nature of the commitment differently. But a private LOI, especially one for $2 billion, is, generally non-binding. It's like a verbal agreement at a high-stakes dinner party. It signals intent, but it is not finalized patient capital suitable for hardware R&D with its multi-year, unpredictable development cycles. If the global economy shifts or if geopolitical tensions cause this Norwegian firm to reassess, that capital can just vanish. Stable public funds, even if they disperse slowly, are the secure foundation. We should be focused on aggressively maturing our domestic public funding mechanisms and accelerating indigenous hardware development, foundry creation, qubit manufacturing, not relying on a volatile external signal.
But the capital shortage is real, and this partnership brings a unique element that the NQM does not yet comprehensively address: sustainability. Deep tech, especially quantum and massive AI data centers, has a staggering energy footprint. This brings us to the unique strength of the NGS collaboration, the Norwegian Green Solutions partner. They address the need for green and clean energy by planning solar, hydrogen, and battery storage projects to support the quantum infrastructure, specifically the Innogress quantum data center. This convergence of deep tech and green tech is the differentiating factor. It aligns India's rapid digital growth with global sustainability goals, reducing environmental and operational risk from day one.
That's a compelling argument for environmental responsibility. But have you considered the immediate strategic implications of outsourcing core infrastructure energy? The IQDC is proposed to be India's first quantum computing data center. Entrusting the foundational energy supply for this critical national asset to a foreign green solutions firm, NGS, creates a massive dependency loop. Imagine a scenario where maintenance contracts or proprietary technology access for the hydrogen storage systems or even key solar components become restricted due to unforeseen geopolitical friction. You've just inserted an external leverage point directly into the power source of India's most sensitive computing facility.
But that risk is mitigated by the sheer necessity of the transition. The source material notes India's need for green energy solutions. We are leveraging global expertise and capital to achieve two strategic goals simultaneously: building deep tech capability and ensuring it is sustainable. We shouldn't reject best-in-class foreign involvement simply because it's foreign, especially when it solves a major energy requirement bottleneck that domestic funds haven't prioritized for this level of specialization. The alternative is a quantum data center running on a heavy carbon footprint, which is neither strategic nor desirable.
Strategic leadership in a dual-use domain demands autonomy, not just optimization. Geopolitics around quantum technology are hardening fast. We have to prioritize developing indigenous green energy solutions specifically tailored for deep tech infrastructure, funded by domestic R&D, rather than inviting FDI into the essential fuel supply for the core national asset.
Let's shift the focus back to hardware capabilities then. My argument is that this investment unlocks tangible production capacity. The GKQCTP project outlines the specific hardware components: quantum foundries for qubits, quantum chip fabs covering superconductor, trapped ions, and photonic chips, and nano-micro fabrication facilities. The investment accelerates the physical creation of this specialized infrastructure, which everyone agrees is India's main hardware lag area. The partnership already involves IIT Gandhinagar and startup partners like S-Cube Tabor. This shows a collaborative effort to fill that hardware deficit using global expertise under the Innogress framework. This is a deliberate, accelerated push toward achieving the full quantum stack.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning because control over the core capability remains highly questionable. Yes, the funds build the park, but the source explicitly notes India lags in building qubit devices and quantum chips. While the park requires a quantum foundry, the DSA holding investment is funding the physical construction, the shell, and common infrastructure. It doesn't inherently guarantee the indigenous creation of the highly specialized, sensitive components that populate it.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by specialized components?
I'm talking about the essential choke points already subject to global export controls, ultra-high vacuum systems, or critically, dilution refrigerators. These are the highly specialized, high-cost cooling systems, essentially the engines required to operate superconducting quantum circuits near absolute zero. If this investment builds an expensive, high-profile physical shell, the quantum tech park, that must then rely entirely on foreign suppliers for the specific cryogenic engines, we haven't achieved sovereignty. We've merely built a sophisticated demand center, solidifying the global hierarchy, where India is a consumer of quantum hardware, not a resilient producer.
But that ignores the immediate economic impact we stand to gain. Quantum technology monitors suggest the global QC market could reach nearly $100 billion by 2040, and NASSCOM projects quantum could add up to $310 billion in value to India by 2030. We cannot afford to move slowly and wait for entirely indigenous solutions to materialize. This $2 billion investment lowers the barrier of entry for dozens of deep tech firms by providing shared infrastructure, allowing them to focus on high-value applications. Quantum navigation, AI solutions for defense, logistics, finance, areas where India can dominate immediately. We are leveraging global money to catch up and leapfrog competitors in application and commercialization.
Commercialization based on dependent infrastructure is a strategic liability disguised as economic growth. The goal is strategic leadership, which requires technological sovereignty over fabrication processes, unique materials, and those high-precision cryogenic systems. If we use this $2 billion LOI primarily to fund the creation of sophisticated demand to the data centers and tech parks, without a binding guarantee of rapid indigenous supply of the quantum engines inside them, we are simply increasing our vulnerability to future export controls. We are building a sophisticated machine whose vital parts can be shut off from abroad.
This moment represents a crucial pivot point. Strong indigenous academic talent from partners like IIT Gandhinagar meeting immediate, targeted private global capital. The DSEng's investment provides the high capex infrastructure that was the critical blockage preventing indigenous innovation from scaling and commercializing. If executed strategically, this integration accelerates India's entire timeline, allowing us to leapfrog competitors who might not have this crucial green-powered deep tech infrastructure.
We agree that the opportunity is immense, but the strategic risk inherent in anchoring core, dual-use national technology on what is, at this stage, non-binding foreign capital intent, it remains unacceptable. The geopolitical landscape is far too volatile. If major global powers intensify their export controls on critical quantum components, the dilution refrigerators, the specialized lasers, that $2 billion LOI becomes irrelevant, leaving India with dependent, expensive infrastructure instead of truly indigenous, resilient capability built securely by the NQM and domestic funds.
It is a high-stakes gamble, I'll grant you. But the sheer velocity of deployment justifies the risk. The window for global quantum leadership is closing.
Velocity is pointless without sovereignty. The real measure of success here will not be the size of the LOI, but the eventual demonstrable level of autonomy in the quantum hardware supply chain that this collaboration ultimately delivers. If it only creates demand, it has failed strategically.
The debate truly illuminates that India's path to quantum leadership hinges less on initial academic brilliance and more on the crucial ability to translate global financial enthusiasm into hardened, strategic, long-term domestic infrastructure.
Precisely. The coming years will reveal whether this investment serves as a vital accelerator, fueling India's ascent, or a subtle long-term liability in the unforgiving global quantum race.